Hi, I'm Fred Bowie of BowieCanHelp.com. Impersonator Rich Little has been named an Officer of the Order of Canada, a prestigious honor which recognizes individuals who have made significant contributions to Canadian society. This recognition is a testament to the incredible talent and hard work that Rich has displayed throughout his career, which spans over 6 decades. Little is best known for his uncanny ability to impersonate a wide range of celebrities, prime ministers, former presidents Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, and current President Joe Biden, and actors Jack Nicholson and Johnny Carson. His ability to capture these famous individuals' mannerisms and vocal inflections have earned him numerous accolades and made him a beloved figure in the world of comedy and entertainment. However, Little's contributions go far beyond his ability to impersonate celebrities. He has also tirelessly advocated for several charitable causes, including the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, the Gary Sinise Foundation, the Children's Miracle Network, and the Ottawa Civic Hospital's Rich Little Special Care Nursery. His philanthropic efforts have helped to raise millions of dollars for these organizations, improving the lives of countless veterans, children, and families. In addition to his charity work, Little has also been a vocal supporter of the arts, particularly in Canada. Rich is a proud supporter of the Ottawa Little Theatre and recognized their 100th anniversary celebration with a benefit performance of his one-man show, Jimmy Stewart and Friends. He has worked tirelessly to promote Canadian talent and advocated for the country's vibrant and diverse cultural scene. His efforts have helped raise Canadian artists' profile at home and abroad and contributed to the country's rich artistic legacy. Overall, Little's contributions to Canadian society have been immense, and his recognition as an officer of the Order of Canada is a testament to his impact on his country and on the world. As an impersonator and comedian, he has brought joy and laughter to millions of people, and as a philanthropist and supporter of the arts, he has made a real difference in the lives of countless individuals. Little's legacy will undoubtedly continue to inspire and entertain for generations to come. Rich Little is a shining example of what it means to use one's talents for the greater good, and his recognition inspires us all. Canadians and the residents of Ottawa, his hometown, are very proud of Rich Little. I'm honored to have Rich Little with us today, live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome, Rich Little. Hi, Rich. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're doing well in Las Vegas. What's your weather like today?
Cold.
Cold?
Yeah.
How cold is it?
It's either too hot or too cold. That's what Vegas is.
Right.
Like the girl I used to know. Yeah.
Oh. Now, don't get me laughing too soon here. Boy, I'm not going to be able to complete this interview. But it's sure great to see you. And we've been friends for a while. But we first met. I don't know if you remember where we actually first met. We met
in Ottawa
in 1984.
Wow.
And it was actually, I'll even name the political party, the Liberal Leadership Convention.
Okay.
And you were doing the entertainment at that convention. Wow. That was in June 1984.
Do you know where it was?
Pardon me?
Where are we there? And
well, you were setting up. I was setting up for sound and everything because I was working with Eugene Whalen, helping him at the time. And then you were doing a sound check.
I see. Okay.
And then you were entertaining leader that night.
Okay.
I think that we've sure changed, So because this was in 2012.
Right. You were a lot heavier. You were a lot heavier then, huh?
I was a lot heavier then. I lost some weight since then. And you, of course, have improved with age, and I've just lost weight. That's all. And but this was at City Hall when Mayor Jim Watson of Ottawa proclaimed it was August 31st, 2012, Rich Little Day.
Okay.
And of course, you have a whole street named after you out by the airport in Ottawa. So you're a popular guy in Ottawa for sure. That was the same day with my beautiful wife, Rita. And this was actually prior to that, in 2010, we were at a wedding together in Laguna Beach of Ray and Karen Stone. And you gave the bride away that day.
Yeah, Ray's a great friend of mine. He moved back to Ottawa, I think. Yeah.
Ray moved back to Ottawa, and he is, having some issues, but still has a great mind, and he's a real character. So I've known and been around with Ray a lot. So we traveled a lot together, and so he's a great guy. But that was at his wedding in Laguna Beach.
Right.
And there we are in Florida. I forget what year that is, but I was still heavy. And we were out on the boat going up and down the intercoastal. That was my boat.
Okay.
And since sold it, but got a lot of use out of it up and down the intercoastal and around here in Florida. So,
great.
So we had a great day that day. And actually, that day, that week, you were performing in Palm Beach at the Colony Hotel.
Right.
So, and that's when we got together and had lunch at the house here and that.
Yeah.
So this must be a proud moment. Now, on your picture, the frame you're holding is actually the proclamation of when Mayor Jim Watson named Rich Little Day back in 2012. And on the right now, you're getting the Order of Canada. So congratulations on your recent appointment as an officer to the Order of Canada. And so now you're going to be known as Rich Little OC. So it's quite a prestigious.
Do you think they gave it to me because I left Canada?
No, I think they gave it to you because you met the criteria of being a great Canadian. And certainly you are. And you are well remembered, not only in Ottawa here, but in Canada. So how do you feel about this recognition? And
I think it's a great honor. I think it's a great honor, and I'm thrilled about it. And I didn't know it existed, actually, until I started looking into it and realized a lot of great Canadians have been awarded it over the years. And I'm very privileged to be now one of them.
Yeah, you're in a great group of Canadians, that's for sure. And you certainly deserve it. So you've been involved with several charity organizations over the years. Just to name a few, the Gary Sinise Foundation,
Right.
The Marie and Rich Little Foundation, the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, the Children's Miracle Network,
Right.
and locally in Ottawa, the Rich Little Special Care Nursery at the Ottawa Civic Hospital, and the Ottawa Little Theatre. You've been a great friend of the Ottawa Little Theatre. So just tell us a little bit more about your I can't even say that word, philanthropic work, and what motivates you to give so much back.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you reach a certain age and you've been fairly successful in the business, it's good to give back and help others, because you're in a position to do it. So I got involved with the troops, the Gary Sinise Foundation, and have made a lot of money for them by selling a lot of my books and my sketches that I do. And I haven't really done much since COVID, but there was a time when I was really making a lot of money for Gary Sinise, and a lot of the troops would come by and see my show and thank me for that. And I always said, my pleasure, because, I admire the troupe so much. I really do. You know, they're tremendous people.
Mhm. And you're good to the Ottawa Little Theatre, and you came to the theatre
Yeah,
and
I
did
started at the
a
Ottawa Little Theatre doing plays when I was about 18,
right.
and did a lot of plays, and wanted to become an actor actually before
Mhm.
I became an impersonator. And I've done a lot of acting, straight acting over the years, but not that much. But you know, I was on Murder She Wrote and Policewoman and Hawaii Five O. So I've done a lot of dramatic acting, but mostly my career has been in comedy.
Right, right. The now one charity that really that you made a tremendous contribution to back in 1982 was the Ottawa Civic Hospital in establishing the Rich Little Special Care Nursery.
Right.
And that nursery has grown into a state-of-the-art neonatal unit offering exceptional family-centered care, leading-edge research, and opportunities for medical education and research. So you must be very proud of that. Now, how
Well,
did you convince?
that was one of my highlights of my career, doing that
Right.
show, and you know, and making so much money for the Rich Little Care Nursery. Of course, Frank Sinatra helped just a little bit, but
Right.
we put on a pretty good show, I think, that night. And Frank opened for me. I couldn't believe that Frank said, "No, no, no, this is your hometown. I'm going to open for you, and you're going to close the show."
Oh, isn't
And
that?
I couldn't believe that he would say that. But I found out later, the real reason was that as soon as I went on, he got in his plane, went back to New York, and got into the bars before they closed.
Oh, really? No, I don't believe that. But how did you convince Frank Sinatra to be part of that journey for you to raise close to, if not over, $1 million back in
Well,
1992?
yeah, I wanted to do the show, and I approached Paul Anka to do it with me. I thought Paul would be a good choice
Mhm.
because we both came up at the same time, but Paul kind of turned me down, and then I went to Frank, and I told Frank that I said Paul isn't really that interested in doing it, and he said, "Ah, forget about Paul Anka, I'll do it."
Nice.
I said, "Really? Let's
Mhm.
pick a date." And
Mhm.
I said, "Well, I don't know. We should do it, I guess, within the next 6 months."
Right.
And I remember Frank, I was down visiting him in Palm Springs, and he got out his Miss Piggy calendar and
Miss
wrote the
Piggy.
date down in his Miss Piggy calendar.
Mhm. Wow.
And then
That's
he came up to Ottawa and brought the whole orchestra with him, and put on a heck of a show. And as I said, I closed the show, and then Frank left. But we were a little nervous there because his plane hadn't landed, and they started the dinner, and they were worried that he wasn't going to make it. And I really was getting anxious. But
mhm.
he finally showed up, and he was very gracious and put on a tremendous show. And he was very, very nice that day, and very, very hospitable to everybody, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you've been back to the special daycare nursery, the Rich Little Special Daycare Nursery,
Yeah,
and this was in 2012 as well.
right.
And so, oh, there you are. That's kind of cute. But I think it really demonstrates, what a caring person you are. So it establishes you as that caring person wanting to contribute to society, contribute to your community, not only your Ottawa community, but really you impact people worldwide. And so I think this picture really demonstrates that. And those are all the qualities. Those are all the qualities that the Order of Canada looks for. So you deserve that Order of Canada, no doubt. Now, in Ottawa, the names Rich Little and Gord Atkinson go together.
Yeah, Gord was my closest friend, and started me in radio, actually. Gord did. He's no longer with us, but I really I can't say enough good things about Gord Atkinson. He was one of the great people in my life.
Yeah. Well, we are all saddened by his death in 2021.
Right.
Lived a long and remarkable life. at the age of 94, and his name lives on in the halls of the entertainment industry. So
Good.
he was quite a special guy.
Yeah.
And you had that special relationship with Gord and the Atkinson family. So
Right.
it was truly special. I saw it in action. This is at one of our functions in Ottawa that Gord introduced you at, and then we're out for dinner later, or either that or it's your favorite shirt, and with Gord and Elaine, of course, and so some great times, I'm sure, that you had with Gord and the family, and I think. In particular, at the home where Gord and Elaine lived, because I used to go by and visit them every once in a while, Gord and Elaine, and we would have a chat. And I think in the house there, you had a special, rich little room to sleep in. Is that right?
Where is it?
Big, huge king size bed.
What place are you talking about, Fred?
Where Gord lived in Stittsville.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he lived in Stittsville, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to visit him, and of course, he had so many children. I think he had 7 kids, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I think 7. Mm-hmm.
And they're all very successful and doing well. And I talked to Elaine once in a while, and she's still going strong. She's in her 90s.
Yeah.
And I miss Gord. I miss Gord a lot. That's one of the problems when you grow old. You watch a lot of your friends die, and the last 10 years, I've lost, I think, my closest friends, and Gord's one of them. But that's one of the pitfalls about growing older is you see people that you loved and they're no longer with you, and it's kind of sad.
Oh, it is sad, but you look back on their what I call remarkable lives. Many of these people. My mom passed away last fall at the age of 96. She would have been 97 in January. And we're just really, I think, fortunate to have Gord a long time, my mom a long time, and all those friends that aged so well, So you've had a long and successful career as an impersonator and comedian, over 6 decades.
Right.
6 decades. What has been the highlight of your career so far, and what keeps you motivated to keep performing?
Well, there's a number of highlights. I think doing the show with Frank Sinatra and raising all the money for the Rich Little Neonatal Center was one of the highlights of my career, definitely. Having my own television show on NBC for 1 season, that was another highlight of my career. Attending the Ronald Reagan first inauguration was another highlight of my career. So I've had a number of them, and I was looking up some of the shows that I've done over the past 50 years, and I've appeared on over 80 different television shows in my career.
Wow. Yeah. And one that I did read about was a copycat. Was that what it was called? Was it a TV show?
Yeah, that was done in England. Yeah, that was a great show.
And then you had was it a show at a hotel as well?
The what?
What was it? A show at a hotel as well that you did? Copycat?
No, Copycats was done in England.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they brought celebrities over to do the show and do impressions. And we had regulars on the show like George Kirby and Frank Gorshin, Marilyn Michaels, and Fred Trevelino, and we did, I think, a full season of Copycats. Really? And I have all the shows; I still have them, but they're hard to get because you can't find them anymore. But if anybody wants a copy, I'll be glad to make it for them.
Yeah, great. And now a little known fact about you is that one of your other talents is an artist.
Right.
So you did this drawing. I don't know if you know that guy or not. Yeah. Prior to becoming an impersonator, you were considered an excellent, and still are, I'm sure, sketch artist.
Well, I started sketching actually before I did impressions. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of celebrities and portraits, and this is one of me I taken about 10 years ago. I redid this picture today, I would make me a little older and get rid of that hairline. That is good.
So now, and you went to Lisgar Collegiate
Collegiate,
in
right?
Ottawa, and and you were mimicking or impersonating teachers at school.
Yes, I imitated teachers at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you get any trouble for that?
Well, I knew it was going to be my lifetime work doing impressions because it wasn't long before the teachers were charging a 2-drink minimum and a cover charge.
Excellent.
I imitated most of my teachers, and because I did it, they stayed away from me. They wouldn't ask me anything because they knew I would answer them in their voice.
Right.
It was usually the wrong answer, so
Right.
I just sailed through school without having to do homework or anything because I knew the teachers wouldn't ask me anything
Right.
because I would answer back in their voice.
Yeah. That's good. And I also heard you got fired from the Elgin Theatre one time.
Yeah, I was an usher at the Elgin Theatre.
Mm-hmm.
And my problem was that I was so interested in the movie that I didn't show people where to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I saw the movie Marty because it played for about 2 months, and I saw it about 40 times, and I knew all the dialogue. And when I met Ernest Borgnine for the first time, I started doing the dialogue from Marty in front of him. And he looked at me and he said, "Rich, my God, I don't even remember what I said."
Yeah. and well, now that you're saying that, I think there was a time when Richard Nixon was asking who you were impersonating when you were impersonating him.
Yeah, well, Nixon was a great fan of mine. I mean, we got along great. He had a great sense of humor, and he used to say to me, "Rich, I think you do me better than I do. As a matter of fact, Rich, you do me so damn good that I think when I pass away, they should bury you."
Yeah. That would not be a good idea. So can we share a few of your charcoal images here, and maybe you can comment on them if you want to do impressions?
Sure.
Great. If not, that's totally up to you. And I just want to let people know too that all of these sketches are available at your website, and I've been running that banner along the bottom.
Right.
So the official Rich Little website is
Well, a lot of these
richlittle.com.
a lot of these sketches are in my book.
Right.
People I've known and been by Rich Little.
Right.
And there's a lot of my sketches in the book. If you buy the book, you can get it in Amazon.com.
Right. So you can get it on Amazon, or is it still available off your site as well, I believe?
Yeah, it's now in its 3rd printing. The first 2 are lost. I'm just kidding.
Doing well. Great. But these sketches are great, and the book, I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it's good. It'd be very.
It's not really a biography. It's funny things that have happened with me and celebrities. That's what the book is all about. I talk about my childhood growing up in Ottawa, but I don't go into detail about my life and my marriages and stuff like that, because I didn't think people would be interested. So I stuck mostly to the people I imitated and my relationships with them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Be interesting. You know this guy?
That's Clint Eastwood. Go ahead, punk. Make my bidet.
Make my bidet. That's great.
Oh, there he is, Ronald Reagan. He always wore those striped suits. Mm-hmm. He was probably the only president that wore different colored suits. Today, all presidents just wear black, but Reagan had quite a variety of different jackets and suits. Mm-hmm. And, he had grays and browns and stripes. He wore a lot of striped suits. Yeah.
Wow. And what did I say? What did I see where you were saying one time to him that you were impersonating him so well that you want to get with Nancy, that kind of a thing. So he's, I guess he was quite a character, Ronald Reagan.
He had a great sense of humor. He loved humor. I mean, he just lit up like a Christmas tree. And it was interesting that when you talked to Reagan, he was glued at you. He never looked away. He looked right at you. He
Mhm.
totally was concentrated on what you were saying. And I was always very impressed with that until I realized later that the reason he did that was he was reading your lips because he couldn't hear.
Oh, isn't that good?
And that's why he was so concentrated on what you were saying. He was
Right.
reading your lips. You know, he and Jimmy Stewart had very bad hearing because they made all those westerns and they fired all those blank guns, and they were pretty bad on your hearing, and they lost a lot of hearing because of firing blanks.
Mhm. I think one of my favorite impersonations is of George Burns.
George Burns, yeah, George was great. He said, "Rich, you do me great. Sometimes I can't tell whether it's me or whether it's you or who's doing who. Maybe I'm the one that's imitating you."
Mm. And there's another guy who lived a long, rich life.
Yeah.
Right? Boy.
George used to say to me, "I'm so old, I can remember when sex was dirty and the air was clean." Well, there's John Wayne, Pilgrim. He was great. I got along great with John Wayne. I met him on a number of occasions. The first time I met him, he was doing Laugh-In, and he was dressed up in a bunny costume, of all things.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And I went over to watch him do his sketch, and he noticed me, and he said, "Little, before you go, I want you to show me how I do my walk. I'm losing it."
Yeah.
So I, in front of the whole cast, did John Wayne's walk for him.
Oh.
He looked at me and he was really concentrating on how I did his walk. And then when I stopped and looked back, he said, "Well, I'll be damned. I've been walking like Loretta Young for 50 years."
Oh, jeez. I noticed on Huckabee. I watched Huckabee one evening, and you were on, and I think you have Joe Biden down pretty good. President
Yeah,
Biden
Joe
down pretty
Biden,
good.
yeah.
Because there's not only the voice, but the walk as well.
Well, the walk is great. That little shuffle of his, and
Mm.
he's a great subject to do because he's written me so much great material.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
and every day he makes a blunder of some sort.
Yeah. And do you do Trump also?
I do Trump, but I don't really do Trump that well. I mean, a lot of people do kind of a satire on him, but he's hard to do, and so is Barack Obama. He was hard to do too. Those
Mhm.
are the two toughest presidents to imitate.
Mhm.
Nothing like Nixon or Jimmy Carter, or they were so larger than life and easy to do.
Right.
Oh, there's Jack Nicholson. Yeah,
Jack Nicholson.
yeah.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson. "Hey, Rich, you're doing damn good."
Oh,
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
Yeah, I made a film with him called The Other Side of the Wind, and we never finished it. And I had club dates to do, and I had to leave the movie, and I
Mhm.
never finished it with him. And he got Peter Bogdanovich to do my part, and so when the picture came out, finally, I wasn't in it.
Mhm. Wow.
But I love working with Orson. He was terrific.
Mhm. Mhm.
Great fun to be with.
I heard you did a voiceover for Tony Curtis, a movie he was doing that he walked away from because he wasn't getting paid.
That's right.
And so
Yeah,
you stepped in and
they
did his
made a
voice.
few lines before they released the movie, and he had already left. And they phoned me and wanted me to come in and do a few lines of Tony Curtis. And I phoned Tony and told him about it, and he said, "Well, Rich, if you're gonna do it, make sure you get paid up front, and whatever money you get, give me half of it."
Oh, did you give him half?
Yeah,
So you did get paid.
I didn't get much, but I gave him $50. Do you believe it? He took it too.
Oh, isn't that great? Yeah.
Cary Grant,
Yeah.
probably the greatest movie star I think of all time. Well, Jimmy Stewart's up there too, but
Mhm.
Cary Grant was really special. He was an interesting man. He loved show business. He loved to laugh, and he loved comedians.
Mhm.
He used to always come and see me at the Sands Hotel, and just sat in the front and just roared.
Yeah.
He had a wonderful sense of humor.
Right. And such distinctive voices all these people had.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think you find that in actors today, like a really distinctive voice.
No, no, actors today are tougher to do
Yeah.
because we don't have voices anymore. There's Paul Land.
Yeah.
Oh God, he hated my impression of him.
Now, Paul Lynde was on Hollywood Squares,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Every time I did him on Hollywood Squares, he made a face.
Yeah.
He'd say, "Who are you doing? Who's that? That's disgusting. Get a day job."
And were you a regular on Hollywood Squares?
Well, I did it not every week, but I did it off and on for 7 years.
7.
And you never knew what square they were going to put you in, but I was usually in the top right-hand square.
What was there a square that the participants wanted to be in?
No, whatever square they gave you, you did. But Paul was usually in the center square. I think he was always in the center square.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Ed Sullivan. He was a strange man. He was the only man I ever met in my life who could count up to 3 and get 2 of the numbers wrong.
Oh, jeez.
Now, he had no talent, no personality, and no charisma.
Yeah.
He made it $1 million a year, and all he did was point to the X.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, the first time you were on there.
Yeah, he introduced me as Little Richard. Yeah.
Little Richard.
Yeah.
Instead of Richard Little.
Yeah.
So he got confused easily.
Yeah, he said it was written on the cue cards wrong, but that wasn't true. He just screwed up my name.
Right.
He came to apologize after the show, and he said, "Ricardo," I don't know why he thought I was Mexican. He said, "Ricardo, I'm sorry I called you Little Richard. It was written on the card wrong. So I'm very sorry, buddy." Buddy
Rich.
Buddy Rich. He thought I was Buddy Rich. Anyway, he was a strange man.
Yeah. So this guy Henry
Hmm?
on Golden Pond.
Yeah, Henry Fonda. Yeah.
Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
And you did some female voices too, didn't you?
Betty Davis.
Yeah.
And that was fun to draw. I was a big fan of hers.
Mhm.
And met her a couple of times, but only in passing. I didn't really get to know her.
Right. And
Sammy Davis, one of the all-time great entertainers. He did everything, didn't he? Sang and danced. He played instruments. He did impressions. Very talented man.
And there's Richard Nixon.
Tricky Dicky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Nixon. I did him a lot back in the 70s. And I did him so much, my own parents tried to have me impeached. I once imitated him in front of him down in San Clemente at a garden party that I was invited to.
Right.
And he didn't know I was doing him when I was doing him.
No.
He had no idea who I was doing. And I'm doing my Nixon impression, and he turned to his wife, Pat, and said, "Why is this young man speaking in this strange voice?"
Oh, yeah, great. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Who else do I have here? And
there's Jimmy.
This guy was great.
Yeah, that's at his home on Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
One of the last times I saw him, too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Gord Atkinson was there that day and did an interview with him. And I tagged along.
Oh, you just tagged along?
Yeah.
Was that the first time you had met him?
And he did a great interview with Jimmy. Fabulous.
Was that the first time you met Jimmy Stewart?
No. I worked with him before that many times.
Yeah.
But that was one of the last times I saw him.
Right.
He lived to be, I think he lived to be 90. I think so. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And there you are. So you were the president for a while, right?
Well, let's see. I did a play on Richard Nixon in New York last summer, a dramatic play called Trial on the Potomac, and I
Right.
played Richard Nixon, and it was a drama, and it was a very good play too, uh, and the Nixon daughters came to see me perform, and they loved it. They thought I was exactly like their father.
Right. Yeah. No, you do. You have the look, and it's amazing when you put it all together with the voice and the mannerisms and everything else.
Yeah,
So, but you performed for several U.S. presidents and prime
yeah,
ministers over the years. Can you
yeah.
tell us about your experience meeting and performing for these leaders?
Well, I performed in front of about 5 or 6 presidents.
Mhm.
I think well, Nixon and Reagan, of course, and um, both Bushes, George Bush and his son, and Jimmy Carter, and yeah, I've done a lot of presidents over the years. Yeah,
Mhm. And the prime ministers, I think the one that is, to me, the best is John Diefenbaker.
John Diefenbaker, right? Yeah. Oh
So
boy,
can you,
he was an interesting guy to impersonate. He looked like an owl, didn't he?
he did, but he's quite a statesman.
I got that look of, it's so funny. I was doing John Diefenbaker for so many years with the jowls going, and then I left Canada and came down to the States, and I started doing Nixon, and then I started shaking my jowls again. So I was slowly erasing myself. I never realized it.
Oh my God. What's been your favorite project to work on and why?
Uh, I think working on my act gives
Mhm.
me a lot of satisfaction because I write my own material,
Mhm.
and I'm always putting new things in my act and taking things out and trying to keep things fresh, and trying to do new people. It's tough because we don't have voices like we used to, but it gets tougher. But I still do a lot of the great stars of the past, and my audience is mostly older people, so
Right.
they know who I'm doing. A lot of younger people come to see me and they have no idea who I'm doing.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I had a 15-year-old the other night come and see me at the Tropicana where I'm now performing,
Mhm.
and he sat in the front row and he was laughing during the whole show. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't think he knows anybody I'm doing.
Right.
And this kid was laughing his head off. So when the show was over, I called him over and I said, "My gosh, you seem to enjoy me. Did you know anybody I was imitating?" And he said, "No, not one single person." I said, "Well, what were you laughing at?" He said, "I was laughing because you kept changing your voice."
Wow. What advice would you give to aspiring comedians and impersonators who are just
Uh,
starting careers?
I'll get your own voices. Do somebody that nobody else does.
Mhm.
That always impresses me when I see an impersonator do somebody I can't do and do it well.
Mhm.
Um, and don't be discouraged. Just keep at it. And it's hard to succeed in show business because there's so many things that are against you.
Mhm.
You've got to get lucky. You've got to have a good manager. You've got to be in the right place at the right time, and you've got to audition and do well. And if you don't get discouraged.
Mhm.
Keep going at it, and just hope for the best. Really.
Yeah. Did your act really take off with the Judy Garland show?
Well, that was the first U.S. show that I did,
Mhm.
the Judy Garland show,
Mhm.
1964. Yeah, that
Mhm.
started my career.
Right.
And Mel Torme, who was a great friend of mine, he was doing special musical material for Judy Garland on her TV show.
Mhm.
And he pitched me, and along with a couple of Canadian writers, Frank Pepe and John Aylesworth, and with the three of them, they convinced Judy to put me on the show.
Mhm. Great.
I remember that Mel and I did a show in Toronto called Parade. It was a variety show, and that was the first time I met Mel Torme. And he had me put all my impressions, or most of them, on a tape. And then when he got back to Hollywood, he went over to see Judy Garland and started to play the tape for her, hoping to get me on the Judy Garland show.
Mhm.
And Judy turned the machine off. She said, "Mel, I don't want to hear anymore." And he said, well, he's great. You got to hear him do all his impressions. No, I hate impersonators. They make me fart.
Oh,
That's what she said. Do you believe that little
yeah,
girl from Kansas said that?
right. And now you're going to make me censor this video.
No, no, there's nothing wrong with passing wind. Uh,
But imagine.
public, but
But she kept on listening?
she finally heard my impression of James Mason.
Oh, okay.
When I did James,
Star is Born.
when I went into my James Mason from A Star Is Born, that's when she perked up and said, "That's fabulous. He's got James down perfectly. Book him on the show."
Oh, great.
That's how I got on the Judy Garland show, was because of my impression of James Mason.
Right. How many Dean Martin roasts?
Mason, about a year later, I ran into him in person and thanked him for getting me on the Judy Garland show.
Right.
He looked at me and he said, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get out of my way."
How many Dean Martin roasts did you do?
I did 24 Dean Martin roasts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's really something. The are there any upcoming projects or events that you are particularly excited about or have on the go?
No, we kicked around doing a show called The Next Impersonator,
Mm-hmm.
and have young impersonators compete. And it was a great idea, but we never really, it never really took off because COVID came along and kind of squashed it. But I was very interested in doing that, America's Next Impersonator. Would have been an interesting show to do. And then you could bring people from all over the States to do their impressions.
Right. Right. Maybe some Canadians too.
And some Canadians too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. The talking about COVID, and I don't want to know if anybody had COVID or not, but boy, you wouldn't want to get a flu or a cold in your business.
No, I don't get any shots for anything really.
Well, it's
I don't
not shot so much, but
so I'd rather stay away from it.
if you lost your voice, there's a lot of people impacted.
Well, that's true.
you
That's
know?
true. I've had laryngitis a few times in my career.
Yeah, and then no more Ronald Reagan, and no more Jimmy Carter, and no more. You can't do their voices.
Yeah, there's only about 2 impressions I can do when I have laryngitis, and that's Jimmy Durante and probably gosh, I don't know, Rochester,
Right.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rich, I mean, I want to really thank you. I think that's a fantastic interview. You had a lot of information there and provide a lot of entertainment to our audience today. And I want to thank you for that and much appreciated for your time today.
Thank you. Good seeing you again, even though I don't recognize you, but you're looking good. You really are.
Well, thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see you in Ottawa soon.
Yeah.
Or in Florida or in Vegas, wherever. So you have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fred.